Peace, blessings, salutations. My name is Yurima Karama here with another segment, Real Life, Real Talk. These are the days of our lives. So I'm sitting out here at the park and very nice, serene, very beautiful out here, very little wind. And I'm looking around as I often do, and there's not a lot of people out here probably because the workday hasn't ended for most yet. And they haven't had a chance to make it out, but for the most part it's a few people out here walking. But I'm looking out at the beauty of this, and it's the beautiful greenery, the trees, the shrubs, and I'm just thinking, how the universe created this magnificence, this beauty, and how just the degenerate nature of man, how they just come through and destroy everything and destroy people and destroy, landscape, all for the purpose of territory and control. And when you look out, and look at nature and what nature has done and the beauty that it's created, and then you look at what man does, and you're just like, man, we're really sick. Men are just really sick. Just warmongers. But anyway, I wanted to touch on this subject. A friend inboxed me and had a question, and I think that this is a good platform to bridge gaps between people, especially when they want to know information. And I've always said at the end of my segments, if you have questions, or you want me to speak on a particular subject, message me, and we can do that. So a friend of mine, she reached out, and this is what she had to say. She said, she says, I was just watching Professor Griff and somebody else speak about Black Lives Matter, and I must say some things confuse me. Why is it, in your opinion, that when some speak of black empowerment, there is so much negative about the white race? Now, before I get you all mad at me, let me explain. I get that we were the ones who committed horrible crimes against you, and it seems racism still has not stopped. I do not pretend to know the extent of the persecution, and am not making a call as to what black issues should be. I want to understand why, when I hear black leaders talking, that it's a black and white thing, no gray area. And so, like I said, she inboxed me with this, and I think that the question should be addressed. I think it's legit, and I think it's sincere. And what I like to do is I like to paint pictures, and I'm an advocate for putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and sometimes that can be hard to do, put yourself in another person's shoes. And I'm also an advocate of this, is that if you're not standing up, if there's a problem and you're not standing up against it, then you're condoning it, you're with it. And so what we have is we have some white people who we can actually pinpoint on a national level, who, like guys like Tim Wise, who speak out, who openly talk about race. You got the lady, I can't even remember her name off the top of my head, but she openly talks about this and is very assertive and aggressive in her talks about it. But those are only a few. You got a few John Browns, and so for the most part, these issues like cops killing, you didn't see white people coming out, screaming about that. You didn't see that. Now there might have been some that were marching and got in on the marches and stuff like that, but when you say that, and you're right when you say that whites committed these crimes, absolutely. But here's the problem, and the reason there is no gray area, and the reason things are black and white, and are probably going to continue to be black and white. For one, there's never really been an apology uh, for the atrocities inflicted upon us. For two, and you made another great assessment, that you don't know the extent of our persecution. And how could you, with a persecution that lasted for over 400 years, where identity was lost, culture was lost, language was lost, and then so I don't even have to go into the depth of that because I've done that before in previous segments. But then you get let go with nothing, and in some cases you get let go only to be bartered off to a prison system who re-enslaves you and uses you as slave labor now to send you right back to the plantation that you were set free from. So now you get let go and you're forced to build. You're forced to build after having nothing, after having been in bondage, some of the most atrocious acts ever inflicted upon you and your people. And so then you get let go and you build, and you have the strength and the fortitude to build. But just because you're that type of people, you have the strength and the fortitude to build, and then the ones who enslaved you get mad because they see that you can build, and then they tear it down. Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood. I mean, there's so many different cases, man, where we built, and 9 times out of 10 it's usually a white woman is the excuse. Oh, he ogled this woman, or he accosted this white woman, and therefore you burnt the whole community to the ground. You bombed it and burned it to the ground. So when we talk about these issues and these atrocities, when you have a group of men who come into the community, because white people weren't going to do that. They weren't going to give free lunches and assist in the drug crimes that took place in the black community. So now you have this group that comes in. They're giving out free lunches. They're, doing tutoring, after school tutoring programs. They're doing all of these different things for the community, doing their best to keep drugs out of the communities and off the streets, policing their own communities, the same thing that suburban people do till this day. And the government comes through, white government, mind you, comes through and totally tries to annihilate the whole group through incarceration, through murder, through these different acts of terrorism. I call them acts of terror. I call it what it is. Were acts of terror. And for what purpose? What threat were these men and women? What threat were they posing other than trying to feed and take care and clothe their people, children? And so this has been a reoccurring thing, and this has been a reoccurring thing, excuse me for that, that we have gone through continuously over here. And so when you hear guys like Professor Griff and others speak, and there is no gray area, that's because there's not. And again, black people didn't create the white and black issue. White people did. For the most part, black people want to love and want to acclimate into society with white people. I think that was proven in segregation. Civil rights. The passage of the civil rights laws and the integration into the schools and stuff. I think black people have been trying to show that they want to integrate, that they want to work, that they want to, show that camaraderie and that patriotism with white people. White people have shunned that, and I'm not one to think that people should force themselves on others, quite frankly. But at the end of the day, whites have shunned that, and so what you have is a black populace right now who is becoming conscious, and and some of our younger, they're becoming conscious, and they're doing the studying, and they're realizing that, hey, and I don't paint everybody in that category, but I'd have to say the majority of white people, because again, if you're not standing up, speaking against those issues, there's a reason. There's a reason why. And here's a prime example. I was going to say there's a reason why Trump is getting the gains that he's getting, but let's take him, case in point. And this is just a small thing of what I'm talking about. So Trump has had these, these different outbursts, and well, basically he's speaking his mind from his point of view, and people are tapping into it. But when these, even the so-called liberal media groups, when they interview particular guests on their show or whatever, and they're asking about these acts of bigotry that Trump has demonstrated, they always say, and here's a prime example of what I'm talking about. They always say, well, Trump has been, he's shown racism and bigotry towards Muslims. He's shown bigotry towards women. He's shown bigotry towards the Mexicans. They never say blacks or African Americans. They never say that. Not once have I heard them say that. They will exclude us at all cost. That's part of the problem, and that's why it's always going to be black and white until some apologies are made or until some strides are made to meet at a common ground. It's always going to be like that, and I see no gray area. I don't see any. And that's not something that we have created. That's something that white America, unfortunately, has created. And that's something that if they want to see changes, I mean, I always say it's always we're always cool as long as we're going to war for you, as long as we're going to war for white America, and as long as we're playing ball and sporting and playing, giving some type of entertainment. Outside of that, it's always been an issue, and that's my suggestion for you to take a look at. Just take a look around. There's issues that we black people, we have to work on. There are issues that we have to work on, but that doesn't negate the fact that white people have never tried to meet us halfway. Never tried to meet us halfway, and it's that's unfortunate. And now you have a generation that's again that's starting to read, that's starting to wake up, that's stepping into a level of consciousness, and they're saying, "Oh," and they're speaking their mind. You can't be mad at them for that. So with that said, connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can go to my webpage, www.yurimakarama.com. You can go there to send me a message, talk to me about a subject topic that you might want talked about. You can also go there for my performance dates and locations. With that said, this is real life, real talk. These are the days of our lives. I'm out.